we'd like to carry on now with the song. Before we do, we'd like to ask you if you'd join in with us. Join in. Just make a noise, okay? Will you do that?
Yeah.
Okay then.
I'm Paul and I play the bass.
I'm George and I play a guitar.
I'm Ringo and I play the drums.
I'm John and I too play a guitar.
And I'm JD. Welcome to episode 2 of A Submarine That's Yellow. I've been loving all the support the show's been getting, and I'm really excited to do another episode. This episode's going to be about the song In My Life, which was released in 1965 on the Rubber Soul album, and was written mainly by John Lennon.
There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed.
In My Life was referred to by Lennon as his, quote, first real major piece of work. This, contrary to popular rumors in Beatles history, was the first time John penned personal lyrics depicting his own life. The song began as a long poem reminiscing on his childhood years in Liverpool, similar to what we'd see later with Strawberry Fields Forever. The original lyrics were based on a bus route that he used to take. Several interesting sites were mentioned throughout the song, including Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields. I quote John, "In My Life started out as a bus journey from my house on 250 Menlove Avenue, mentioning every place I could remember. And it was ridiculous. It was one of the most boring What I Did on My Holiday Bus Trip song, and it wasn't working at all. Then I laid back, and these lyrics started coming to me about the places I remember." End quote. But if you've ever heard the song before, you know that this is not all that it's about. Pete Shotton, an old friend of John, once recalled the lyrics about friends who are dead and living, being a reference to Stuart Sutcliffe, a member of the group who passed away before the Beatles made it big.
Some are dead and some are living. In my life, I've loved them all.
Now, usually this is where we go into the review portion, and it is going to be just a second. I debuted this podcast in the idea to the AV club at school, and the teacher loved it, so I now have permission to film interviews with a bunch of students, and that's exactly what this is today. Me and my friend, who's called JB because he couldn't come up with his own nickname, it's just me and my friend in the school library shooting the breeze about this song. He chose it, it's one of his favorite songs, and yeah, this is us talking about In My Life. Let's go. Why, thank you, past me. And now we're going to be going into the review section of In My Life by the Beatles. But for the first time ever on A Submarine That's Yellow, I'm joined by a guest whose music taste expands all the way from Tupac to the Rat Pack. Here we have JB, who could not come up with his own nickname and had to steal mine.
Okay, listen here. Just because you couldn't use your own initials doesn't mean I can't use mine.
Very true. So the song In My Life is easily one of Lennon's most deepest compositions. We talked about in the earlier portion how he wrote it about Stu Sutcliffe, who was a member of the Beatles but would die before they got big. What do you feel when you hear these lyrics of John talking about places he remembers?
I remember, whenever I was younger, I used to travel a lot, so whenever we go on vacation, I see a place like, oh wait a minute, I've been here before. And I remember something that happened. I'm like, wow, that happened, and it's just, it brings back good times. And you see places like an amusement park that you went to with a friend. Like, if you see a certain ride, you're like, I would have never rode that ride without that person.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what John was doing, because the lyrics were originally about Liverpool, and the song was kind of his bus route. He would point to different places. Actually, this song originally had Strawberry Fields in the lyrics before he wrote Strawberry Fields Forever. And when I hear the lyrics, very similarly, to take away from what you just said, it's really about reflection, and I feel like John, already being 22, was reflecting on life before being as famous, because obviously this is after I Want to Hold Your Hand and everything, and they can't really go to bars and stuff, so they're reflecting on their lives before everything went chaotic. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the instruments. John Lennon's on electric rhythm guitar, George is playing the lead guitar riffs, Paul on bass, and Ringo's amazing rhythm on the song is really good. I really do like their vocals. I hear Paul a lot in this, even though it's usually referred to as a John lead vocal. What do you think about the vocals on the song?
I don't know. It's always been so familiar to me. just hearing it from such a young age, and every time I hear it, it's just like, oh yeah, that's the Beatles, you know?
Yeah. It's one of those songs, I think a lot like Here Comes the Sun, where you hear it
it's
a lot.
Iconic for the Beatles, you know?
Yeah, and then with Here Comes the Sun, for me personally, I didn't even know it was a Beatles song for a long time, because I knew it from the B movie. And so I thought whoever sings it in the B movie, I thought they sang it. And I think In My Life has had a cover or something, or it was used in some movie, and so I always knew it, but I never knew it was a Beatles song.
My mom introduced me to the Beatles whenever I was very young. Probably when I was about 4, you know. I was always listening to whatever she listened to, and, you know, whenever I heard, you know, Yellow Submarine, I was like, whenever I heard the band part, I was like, oh man, I want to do that. You know, that's the only reason, you know, I'm in band today. You know, instrumental band, I should say.
And that's an episode we are definitely going to have you back on, unless this gets a bunch of dislikes just because you can't come up with your own nickname.
Okay, right.
And I think another thing that this song tackles a lot is loss, whether it is Stuart Sutcliffe. There's also rumors that this is about Cynthia Lennon, but John really did have a deep side, and so that's why it's so weird with these songs where he's kind of like the song Help, you know, it's so upbeat and the tempo is so fast and it's so fun, but when you listen to the lyrics, help me if you can, I'm feeling down, I sure do appreciate you being around, help me get my feet back off the ground. It's so deep, and that's something that John does so masterfully. That's a word, right? Masterfully?
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anybody like that, and especially with Paul's lyrics in songs like Blackbird, what Paul did was what's the word I'm looking for here? He covered them up and made them about something else. Like, you know the song Rocky Raccoon?
Yeah.
He, like, covered it up with characters, but John lays it out flat on songs like Imagine and In My Life.
I feel like one of the, you know, only songs that I can really compare it to is probably 10 Years Gone by Led Zeppelin. You're not a Led Zeppelin kid like I am, but still, like, if you just hear in the lyrics, like, is as it was, but then again it will be, you know. 10 Years Gone was about, you know, what used to be and, you know, what he had to give up to, you know, become Led Zeppelin. I think. I'm not sure.
And the bell's about to ring, so we're going to wrap this up real quick. But on Rubber Soul, In My Life is right before the song I'm Looking Through You, and then Wait is not one of my favorite songs, but I'm Looking Through You is great, and it goes in really well as a transition. So we're not late to fourth hour. I want to thank you guys all for watching. Please rate the podcast 5 stars. Follow us on Twitter at a sub that's yellow, and on Instagram a submarine that's yellow pod. And I got to get out of here. But before we go, I do want to do Song of the Week. Because that's what I did in the first. You've seen the first episode, haven't you?
I haven't had the chance to.
Of course you haven't. So Song of the Week. Oh, that's the bell. Gotta hurry.
I guess you could say we're saved by the bell.
Yeah, I'll just edit that part in. Let's take it away to me that's on the computer so I don't get detention. I love that ending. Yeah, he was a great guest. I love talking to him, and I can't wait to interview more of my friends for this portion of the show. I really hope you guys, because that's what this podcast is, I really hope you guys enjoy seeing the different perspectives on these songs, and I think it's really cool insight, because I didn't know all the things he felt when he heard that song. I felt differently, and it was really cool to hear, and I really cannot wait to talk to more people about some Beatles songs. So, Song of the Week this week, before I was rudely interrupted by our fourth period bell. I'm going to go with a non-Beatles song. I'm actually going to go with a Paul McCartney and Wings song from their first solo album, Wildlife. I've really been listening to Dear Friend a lot lately, and I've just been in love with it. So, thank you guys for watching. We're officially on Apple Podcasts, so please go leave a 5-star review. If you're on Spotify, thumbs up it or whatever you do on there. If you're on SoundCloud, that's cool. I don't know if you rate anything on SoundCloud, but if you can, go ahead. And then if you're listening on Speaker Podcasts, I don't know why. So, okay, well, let's go to Paul signing off. So, everybody out there listening on headphones and just listening to me ramble, all you need is love.
What a suitable ending, I think.